Did you know that most Christian religions observe the practice of baptism? Jehovah's Witnesses are no exception. Baptism in most religions is a symbolic thing, and while Jehovah's Witnesses portray it as symbolic, there is a hidden meaning to it. Let's take a look at JW baptism and expose what it really means. Witness baptisms usually occur at circuit assemblies or district conventions. The reason for this is the amount of preparation a baptismal candidate has to go through. In 2021, the baptismal talk was given by John Ekron. JWs are told baptism symbolizes their love of Jehovah and their desire to serve him. But as we will see, that is not what they are actually doing. They are being misled. Do you want to see how? What does it mean when you make a promise to someone? As you can see here, a promise is the same thing as an oath. It is a declaration or assurance that one will do a particular thing. Let's listen as John says this.
We'll consider each scripture is part of your dedication promise and how you can show your faith in action.
John is going to give baptism candidates Bible scriptures that tell them what to promise. John will then tell them how to do this in real life. Let's hear the first scripture.
Our first scripture is Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 25. Not forsaking our meetings together, as some have the custom, but encouraging one another, and all the more so as you see the day drawing near. Your dedication promise, I will attend all meetings, assemblies, and conventions. Well, how do you show that by faith in action? Well, you really need a job, but you say no to a job that would mean that you would regularly miss meetings. You don't have to decide, should I go to meetings or not? You've already made that decision when you dedicated yourself to Jehovah.
Your dedication promise, your oath, is to attend all meetings, circuit assemblies, and conventions. All of them. No excuses. He goes on to say that you should limit your employment opportunities. You don't want a job that might interfere with meeting attendance. But why is attending meetings so important? That's because it's where you receive your watchtower indoctrination. Other religions basically have a mass or a sermon on Sunday. The witnesses have a public address. However, after the public address, there is an intermission. Then the Watchtower study takes place. It is a study of the Watchtower magazine. Back in my day, we had a midweek meeting called the Theocratic School. That's where we learned to be better public speakers. It had nothing to do with worshiping God. We were being taught how to recruit new members. So the meetings weren't really about serving God at all. It was about serving the publishing company that printed all of this literature. So oath number 1, in reality, is quite different. I promise to receive my indoctrination from the Watchtower Corporation at every opportunity. Let's see what oath number 2 is.
Our second scripture, Romans chapter 10 and verse 10. For with the heart one exercises faith for righteousness, but with the mouth one makes public declaration for salvation. So your dedication promise, I want everyone to know about Jehovah. Your faith in action? Well, going to bed early so that you can get up for field service the next morning. Auxiliary pioneering when you can. You schedule field service first and then other activities later in the day. Or adapting to different forms of the ministry like telephone witnessing or letter writing.
Oath number 2 is to preach about Jehovah. But is that what you're really doing? It can certainly appear that way to somebody not paying attention. But think about it. The whole purpose of field service is to bring in more recruits to the organization. New Bible study aids are printed every few years for sale to the millions of Watchtower cult members. They are taught incessantly to market the products in as many ways as they can. He mentions phone and mail spamming. Don't forget the action part of your oath. Everything in your life is secondary to preaching the Watchtower doctrine. It's not a religion, it's a publishing company with a trained sales force. And oath number 2 is to market all corporation publications and recruit new members. Let's hear the third scripture.
Our third scripture, Mark chapter 11 and verse 24. This is why I tell you, all the things you pray and ask for, have faith that you have received them, and you will have them. Well, your dedication promise, I will constantly seek Jehovah's direction in prayer.
Now you're promising to constantly seek Jehovah's direction in prayer. What an interesting concept. Maybe the governing body should constantly seek Jehovah's direction in prayer. If they did, maybe they wouldn't need new light so often. Wouldn't it be nice if God's chosen organization could get it right the first time? But I digress. Let's do a quick recap, shall we? Oath number 1 is to attend all meetings while working at a job that allows you the time to do so. Oath number 2 says you are to preach as much as you can, ignoring other activities in your life. Now you are to constantly pray. Oath number 3. But when the heck will you have any time to live your own life?
Your faith in action? When you're tempted to play a violent video game, you reject that game and play something else.
Do you think it's odd that he's talking about video games? Oh, that's because a large number of young teens and children get baptized. I myself was baptized as a JW at the age of 9.
When faced with a serious illness, you pray for calm and wisdom to make good decisions.
So you should pray about things like getting a blood transfusion that may save your life. But you'll be punished for not being willing to die for the Watchtower.
When you feel yourself getting angry with someone, you pray for self-control.
When I get angry, I just make a YouTube video. That's why this channel is about the Watchtower Corporation.
Now, we could use many more scriptures, and we could give you many more examples of how you can exercise and show your faith by your actions.
We could, but these are the ones we're going to use to defend ourselves in a court case.
The point is that you baptismal candidates have dedicated your life to Jehovah and to do His will.
Have they really? It seems to me that they've sworn to give up any control over their life. It seems they've sworn to provide free labor and marketing for the Watchtower Corporation.
This one decision to dedicate your life and to live by His standards sets the spiritual and moral foundation for all the decisions you will make from this day forward.
Think about the ramifications of those words.
This one decision to dedicate your life,
you promise to give up all control of your time.
This one decision to dedicate your life,
you promise to labor intensively for a greedy corporation with no financial compensation. Isn't that called slavery?
This one decision to dedicate your life,
even if you're not legally old enough to drive a car, you're making a legally binding oath to the Watchtower.
This one decision to dedicate your life.
What a misguided decision. Fortunately, though, it's only valid until you die. So let me know in the comments, is JW baptism really what you thought it was?